Hello, everyone.
Hello,
Good morning.
morning.
Thank you for coming today. Something we've been working on for a very long time, so super keen to show you what we've got here for you guys. We'll wait a few minutes and then we'll get started after that. Yeah, I guess we'll get started. Anyway, the presentation is recorded, so people are late. They can always watch back the beginning. So first, what we'll do is we'll give you a bit of an introduction of the concept of why we did that, and also how does it work from a logic point of view. And then after that, Joanna will pick it up, and she'll give us a demonstration live on a demo account. And then after that, we'll go for Q&A, and then we'll wrap up with some exciting stuff that are coming also shortly. Okay. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate. Just put them into the chat, and then we'll get to them as soon as we get to the Q&A section. But it'd be nice if you can put them there, so to make sure that we don't forget about any questions. Okay. So all right. Let's get started. So what are custom fields, and why did we build them? First, the why is the most important piece. So we built them in order to be able to have the data migrate or sync between the different places that it's being used within the platform, right? So basically make the data more accessible and broadly available within the platform. Okay, so that's really why we built that. So what are custom fields? Essentially, there are questions that can be reused across the platform, regardless of the type of forms in majority of the cases. And they give you kind of this advantages that based on specific actions, the data will migrate to the user or the startup profile. And also, if the startup and the user is already accepted in the programs, then if they apply again, or if they fill a form again, in which case custom field is already pre-filled or filled, it will be pre-filled as a question when they start filling up the form. Okay. And we'll show you some examples of that in a little bit. So some of the use cases for this. So for example, in the application process, you would have some questions that are there, and then the applicants will fill that information. And once you accept them and that moves into the program piece, then all of the questions that they filled in the application process that you chose for those questions to be custom fields and also part of the user or startup profile will automatically migrate to that information. So you can have the user profile as well as the startup profile updating based on the information that is contained within the application files. Okay, so that's the core or original use cases. But that applies in many other areas. So that also applies for feedback forms. So for example, if you want to send a feedback request to some startups to update the information that is contained within the startup file with the most recent data, you can simply send them a feedback request. They will get that form, they will fill that information, and that will update the information within the startup file with the latest information that they've just filled in. That also applied for LMS. So if you have the functionality of courses enabled, then you're going to see in the courses, there's a new unit called submission. And that would essentially be a form that your users are able to fill as part of the course that they're taking online with you. And that can also pre-populate or populate the data of the startup profile. And a good use case for this, for example, could be a training on a business model canvas or a business plan of some kind. And there could be a different sections corresponding to the different section of the business model canvas. For example, you can have a different section for each of that on the training. And once the startup fills the submission form, say, for example, on value proposition, not only they're doing it as part of the course, but it also updates the startup profile with the latest value proposition that they've outlined within that form, as an example, and there's many more of that as well. You can also use it in different areas. So, for example, we now have, for a couple of months or a bit more now, the ability for you to create a application funnel for users as opposed to for startups. So for example, if you have mentors that are applying to become part of your network, they could pre-fill some of that information in the application process. And when they accepted, that information will automatically be populated on their user profile, making it more appealing with more relevant information. That information can include things like their profile picture, their professional experience, and that will automatically populate in all these fields in the right place of the user profile so that you have information that's more relevant on the profile of your mentors. You also have two different types of fields. So there's fields that we basically created that you all have access to, which we call global. So they're important questions, things like describe competitive set in the user ad row type questions, or professional experience. So there's different kind of questions that we've created that you all have access to. And they're in the fields that you're going to be able to create yourself. So you have a combination of those two types of field that are available to you in both the profiles of the users and the startups, as well as in the questions. And I think what we'll do now is go straight to the presentation, Joanna, and then we'll continue with some more details after. Sounds good?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. So I'm starting to share my screen. Can you please confirm in the chat or with a thumb up that you can see my screen?
Yeah, it's all good.
Okay, cool. So the first thing that we may want to see, it will be under the setup menu. We may want to access to the custom fields section. So this looks a bit different from what it used to look, because now we have 3 sections from where we'll see all of the custom fields, and you can also see specific fields that you can use in the user profile or in the startup profile. So this is going to be the section as you are used to use it to build how you want the users profiles and the startup profiles to look. And just to make a bit of remembering about what I'm talking about. So first of all, users profile. Every user that is going to be part of your community, they will be able to create and customize their own profiles. But the administrators will have the access to decide which data and which information they will need to add into their own profile. So, and I'm talking about this section that is called About, from where you can decide if you want to keep these fields that we have added by default into each of your profile, or if you want to change this and add any other information, any other field that you may want to use for your own use case. This is for users profile. Then, if you access to your community or to your startup portfolio, you will find the sections for startups from where you will have access to the public profile of every startup that is part of the ecosystem. And whenever you access to any of these public profiles, then you will see the logo, the name of the startups, and then other fields that you can also customize in order to decide which data and which information will be part of the company's profile or startup's profile. Then, from where can I customize these fields that are part of the startup profiles and that are part of the user's profile? So let's go back into the setup menu, custom fields. I just want to remember that this is a functionality that is available just for administrators or users with admin rights. Other type of users won't be able to make this kind of configuration in the platform. So we have custom fields, user profile fields, and startup profile fields. So by accessing to the user's profile fields, for example, then you will be able to see all of the fields that are already part of the user's profile. For the clients that are already working with us, so if you have changed or if you have added any field into the user or startup profile, like custom fields, then those fields were automatically converted into custom fields. So which means that these fields, you can use them into the user's or startup profile, but at the same time, you will be able to use the same fields whenever you are creating an application form, a feedback form, or a submission form. And then the data that is inputted into that field will be updated into the rest of the places in the platform where you are using this field. If you are new at AcceleratorApp, or if you haven't touched any of these fields, then basically you can just hit on edit user profile, and then you will be able to add the fields that you want to use into the user profile. But first of all, how can I create a custom field? There is one way from the custom field section, from where you can just create a new field by clicking on here. And the first question will be, is this a field for users, or is this a field to be used in the startup profiles? So in this case, let's say that it's going to be a field that is going to be used in the user's profiles, and then you can set it up just in English, or if you want to have these fields available in multi-languages, then you can add another language from here. And basically, as if you were creating any other type of field, you will add the label of the question, the field type, if it's going to be in one-liner, long answer, single choice, multiple choice, and so on. And then you can add different validations to these fields as you are used to, like minimum or maximum number of characters, minimum or maximum number of words. The validations will depend on the type of field that you select here. And then you can select into which category this field is going to be included. So these categories that you see here, they are hard-coded. So we created like multiple categories from that you can use to better organize all the fields that you are going to create into the startups or users profile. Finally, you can add an internal description for this field, and you can add the slug. The slug could be even the same question or the same label that you are adding here. Important thing is that you cannot use spaces or special characters for the slug. It has to be just words and with no spaces. And whenever you have added all these informations, you can just hit on create, and the new field or the new custom field will be created for the user profile, and you can do the same for the startup profile. Remember that when you are creating these fields, so you are building how the user profiles and the startup profiles will look like. And you can add even other type of information. So for example, here, when you hit on edit user profile, and you want to build how this user profile will look, so you can just drag and drop. And from this part, you will be able to select which one of the fields that you have created for users profiles you want to use to be part of the user's profile. And most importantly, whenever you hover your mouse here, you can add a visibility restriction. So if you have some sensitive data that you may want just admins to see or to access, you can just turn this functionality on. And by default, every admin will have access to this information, and you can keep adding other user roles that should have access to this kind of information as well. And finally, we have the assignation. So into which user's profile we want this custom field to be part of. So for example, we have some fields that are specifically for mentors, like for example, how many years of experience do you have mentoring? This is something that we need to know only for mentors, experts, or users that are offering services or mentoring services to the startups, and not from founders, for example. So that's why you will be able to select from here. So this is a field that will appear only on the mentor's profile and not to every user profile. And whenever that's done, you can just save and publish. And after that, the fields are going to be, or the changes that you make here are going to be populated into the user's profile, depending on the assignation and the visibility restrictions you have added. So now let's make an example. So let's say that I'm going to launch a call to accept the mentors that are going to be part of my community. So I will create an application funnel for them. But first of all, I need to create the form that they are going to fill out and submit. So whenever you access to the forms and you create, let's say, a new application form for these mentors, let's say here I prepared one that I call it mentors profile. It will be similar to what we saw in the users profiles and startup profiles. So you can drag and drop any kind of elements that you see here, or you can use the field custom fields, and then you will be able to choose from here which of the custom fields that you have created you want to use, or you can just create a new element here at the label of the question, same as if you were building an application form, but after the field is created, if you want to convert this into a custom field, because the data that is here, you want it to be synced into other places of the platform, you can just hit on convert on to custom fields, and then it will be available in the custom fields, this field, and then you will be able to include these fields into the users or startup profiles. And this is a second way on how you can create the custom fields. So the first one, it will be basically from the custom fields section directly. And the second one, it will be just whenever you are creating your forms, then you can make any of those fields a custom field for the data to be synchronized across the different places you are using the fields in the platform. So whenever your form is completed, and you may want to have a look to the fields that we have provided for you. So because there are some fields that we prepared for you and that you can use, like for example, Facebook profile, or for example, profile picture, profile cover image. So for example, if you want the mentors to create their own profile at the same time that they are filling out the form to submit and apply to be a mentor, so you can add this kind of fields like profile picture or profile cover image, or even professional experience. And this information will be already part of their profile. So we will see how it works whenever I apply it right now. But this is how you can create now your application forms. And for the ones that have already created application forms and you didn't convert the fields into custom fields, so you can access back into the application form, click on the icon that I showed you before, and convert the fields into custom fields. Let's say that this form is already completed. So this is all the information that I need from my mentors. I can just save, publish this information. And after that, I can access to my funnel, create the funnel that is going to be for to recruit the mentors. It will be a mentors club. It will be exactly the same way you are used to. You can create the funnel, select the form, and then add the selection rounds you need. And after that, save and publish. So now I will apply as if I were a mentor, just to show you how will be or how will work. So here I will create my account as the best mentor in AcceleratorApp, and then I will add my password, accept terms and services, and then just continue with my application. So my first step, as always, it will be just to validate my email address. So I will validate here quickly. And now I will be redirected to fill out this application form. As you can see, the form looks exactly the same. There is no difference, but now I have to upload my profile picture as a required field. So which means that I cannot apply, I cannot create a profile in AcceleratorApp as mentor if I don't add my profile picture. So I will select from my document selector here, a good profile picture. Now I will just complete this information. And everything is ready. I can just save and I can submit my application. Cool, all this information was already submitted, but if I access to my profile, you can see that the data is not synchronized. This is because my application hasn't been accepted yet. So in order for us to synchronize the data of your custom fields, the administrators needs to accept these applications into one program. So now as administrator, I will access to this application. This is my evaluator. I think it's a very good mentor profile. So I will just accept them into the mentors program. So first of all, when you create a application funnel for users in the acceptance, you will be able to select which user role you want to assign to this user. Then into which program is going to be accepted, and then you can add some tags if you want to, and then just submit, and the acceptance already happened. As you can see, the profile picture was already updated into the user profile, and if I go back to my user profile, good news, I was accepted. I will just refresh, and now my profile is already set up. So I already have my profile picture, and I already have like some information added directly into my profile. So this is how it works. As I use the same fields in the application form and in the user profile, the data was synchronized. But now there is other data that I haven't completed in the application form. Let's say that I forgot to add that, or I want to get this data just from the mentors that were accepted into the app. Now what I will do is, as they are not going to fill out this by themselves, I will send them a request. So I will send a feedback request for them in order to complete the rest of the fields that I'm missing from this mentor profile. Now I will back to the forms, and I will create the feedback form. And when I create the feedback form, it will be exactly the same process. You can drag and drop the different custom fields that you have already created and that you have added already into the user's profile, or you can add other elements and convert them into a custom field. In this case, I have this custom field that is also hard-coded. There is education. I have like, are you vegetarian, country of residence, again, maybe because I'm not sure if they have added the right information, and then this data will be updated to the last answer they provided, and then the other information. So I will use this form and I will send it to my mentors in order to complete their profiles. So I will go to feedback request. Now I will create a new request. Sorry? Oh, I mean, my goodness. Yeah, no worries. Cool. So feedback request. So now I will edit here. So I want to send this to my mentors. And also I want to send this to the best mentor as well. Let me see. Okay. If I'm here, yeah. Now I'm ready to send this request. I'm sending the request right now. If I access, or if I go back as mentor, I will have a new task to complete the new information in my profile, but at the same time, I have another task that I have to complete the information on the feedback form that I have just received. I will also receive this via email, via notification, so I will just click on. Oh, now I have to complete other information, so I will add here this. I will have this start date and end date for the program. Education completed this. This was my, no. Okay, so here, country of residence. This is a field that I have previously filled out in the application that I participated. As you can see, the data that I have added before is pre-populated here. So I just have to review and say, well, is it the same or does it change? So I'm not in Portugal anymore. So I'm now in Albania, for example. And now I will complete this. Save, review, and submit. Everything is okay. So I have updated my country of residence, and then I will submit. Now that I have submitted this data or this feedback form, if I go back into my profile, and let's just refresh to make sure, all the information that I provided in the application form and all the information that I provided in the feedback request is already synchronized into my profile. And why? Because as administrator, I use the same fields in the feedback request that I was using in the user profile or in the mentor's profile. And the same is going to be for the application, and the same process will apply, for example, if you have a course and you want to add a submission form. That is the new type of form that Alan was talking at the beginning. So you can just create a new submission form, and even you can ask them to, like, you will have all the fields available here: long answer questions, single choice questions, attachments questions, and so on. And if you convert these fields into a custom field that is going to be part of the startup profile, for example, and convert it into a custom field, now you can add this field into your startup profile. And whenever they submit something into the courses that they are participating, that information will be synchronized into the startup profile exactly the same way that we saw for the user profile and for this mentor that we accepted into the platform. So basically, we are simplifying things, because whenever they are submitting a form, then that information will be populated into the right places in AcceleratorApp, so they don't have to redo their profiles or to redo their company's profiles after they participated in the application process. Or if I am participating in another application process for the, let's say I wasn't accepted this year, but I'm participating for the next year, the data that I have provided in the past will be pre-populated, because you will be using the same fields. So I hope this process was clear, but I think that now we can answer all the questions you may have. Questions, comments?
We can probably discuss more about the conversion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's some questions around that. So you all have data already in the platform, and I'm sure you are all eager to see that automatically populated in your user and startup profile. And you can totally do that. So simply by going to the form you used when people applied and clicking on the conversion icon, that will then automatically trigger the syncing process. And so after that, we can simply add that question to the user or startup profile, and it will be with that data.
So for example, for this form, we have some fields that they are not custom fields that we were using in the past. So you can just click on the icon, select if it's going to be a field to be used in the user or startup profile, convert to custom fields, and then you will have the call to action to add these fields into the startup profile right away, or you can just do it later and continue converting the next fields that you want to.
Hi, may I make a question?
Yeah.
Hi, Joanna. Nice to meet you again. Francesco from EH Milan. I would like to know, because we have this kind of issue, many startups make the application, but they don't finish it. And they relog again and they make another draft one. With these customer field pre-saved forms, do they will continue their first application, so they will not duplicate it?
So for the data of the fields to be synchronized, the applicant must submit the application, and then you will need to accept the applicants into one program. So that's the action that will trigger the synchronization of the data.
Okay,
so
okay, I understand. I think our problem is before the application is sent, because they draft before sending the application, so they make a draft version that stay there and occupy a lot of space inside the funnel, and they remake again another application. So we'll find usually a submitted application and draft version.
Okay, yeah. So in this case, or how it is built right now, so the action of submitting and being accepted into one program, it's the action that will allow us to synchronize the data. See if the application is in draft, then the data cannot be synced yet.
Okay, yeah, understood. Because I was thinking about to make the possibility to trigger I saw the switch, don't send again another application, but they are not sending any application in that moment. That's a little bit tricky for us. By the way, thank you for your reply. Very kind.
You're welcome. So same, this is going to be noted and see if we can implement something for multiple draft applications in the future.
Appreciate it.
Okay, there is a question from Laura, a question for existing mentors profiles who were not added via form. Plan to create a form for new mentors with similar fields on the substatement. Will the existing mentor fields be converted into custom and updated with a future feedback request? Well, so every field that you had, Laura, into the mentor profile or into the user profile was converted into a custom field automatically. So what you will need to do if you wanted to update their profile or add finally their information, complete their information in their profile, so you can just create a feedback form and select those fields that you have in the mentor profiles already, and then just send this to the mentors. So whenever they complete that information via the feedback form, then it will be updated into their user's profile. But every field that you had into the user's profiles or mentor's profile is now a custom field that you can use in a feedback form or in any other type of form that you want to use. Okay, another question from Marta. In our case, sometimes we have like plus 800 applications submitted, but we only select 40 profiles. So we will only have data saved for those 40, right? Yes, that's correct. So because the action of accepting the applicants into the program is that the action that will allow us to synchronize the data across the different places into the app. So if they are not accepted, then the data is not synchronized yet. Sounds good. I guess the other questions were answered by Maran in the chat, but I don't know if anybody has any other questions, comments that you want to share around this, any use case, specific use case.
I have a question.
Yes.
Why, in order for you to continue, you must upload a profile pic? First time I've seen that on an app.
Sorry, in order to continue, you must update your user profile picture. Is that what you asked? So this
Yes.
this is something that will be determined by the administrators. So if you want your let's say your mentors, experts to update their user profile picture, then you can add that field as a custom field required. But if you don't want to do so, you can just simply make the field not required, or simply don't add that into the form that they will have to complete in order to apply.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So yeah, that's the flexibility that we were trying to achieve with the custom fields. So the admins will have all the power to decide which data must be added into their profiles and into their company profiles, and which one is just an optional or you don't want to do so. So the next step now will be just for you to review users profiles, startup profiles, build those, and then decide how you want to start to fit the data into their corresponding profiles. Alan, do you have anything else for us today?
Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about the future. So a couple of upcoming things that are happening soon. Oh, wrong screen. Just redo that. Okay. All right. So we've got a new user interface that's coming up very soon. The team that working on the front end side of things have been working really hard on this. So that should be coming very quickly, definitely before Christmas. And so, yeah, so it changes the layout of all of the application, and it splits things by context. And so, for example, in that page that we can see here, when we are working with startups, then on the left side, we have everything related to startups. The same thing if you switch to context to applications, then everything will be related to that. And so it's going to be a little bit easier to navigate the application, to have everything more close to you and be more proactive. We also have added different things, like, for example, a general create button that allows you to create from everywhere, create anything from anywhere. And we also have a little bit cleaner interface. So it's an upgrade here in terms of the way it looks. And yeah, we have a few more surprises on that end, but don't want to say too much, except that it's coming soon, and that we're super excited about it. We also have an application dashboard. So this is going to allow you to visualize data about the statistics of your application. So the number of applications submitted, the number of applications created, the completion rate, the time spent in each stage. So it's our first sort of foray into the data visualization based on the applications, based on the data that we have in the application. And there's going to be more and more of that. But we start with the applications where there's the most use case. And that is actually ready. We will be launching it also before Christmas, very much probably at the same time as the new user interface. Something that we haven't talked much about, but is actually already in action, is a system of automation that allows you to do different actions inside AcceleratorApp based on triggers and logic of your choice. Let me be more specific. So we would have a trigger, which would be something like an application is submitted. And then you would have a filter. So you can say, for example, if their answer to the questions, how much sales have you generated, is more than $50,000, then automatically accept the first round and move them into second round, right? Or you could be doing things like that, but around assignation of evaluators. So automatically assigning a group of evaluator based on industry selection or expertise, so that there's a better match with the evaluator and the application, but automating that without requiring you to do so many manual works. So that's actually already in action in a few accounts right now, where we set it up on behalf of the user. So there's no user interface to manage it, but it's in action. It's already in production, and we will be releasing more and more of that in the coming months. And I expect that to be widely available by the month of March, with probably some more beta users in the month of February. And so yes, that's for the automation piece that we've got here. Then we've got the program homepage. So this is going to be the new home for the founders of each startups. And so from there, they're going to see all of the different events and the different workshops and the different mentor that are available to them in a chronological fashion. So that's going to be a bit clearer for them in terms of what is the process. And it obviously looks much cleaner. And so we're very excited about that. Sort of brings everything together from a program perspective to make it feel a lot more like a curriculum of activity and a process that has to go through. And so that will combine elements from events, courses, mentors, connections, resources, and you also going to have here, we are not going to show much more of that for today, but an announcement section, which will allow you to announce different things, obviously, within the application. And then you can have your founders have the ability to reply to that message, to that announcement, so that there's a communication flow that happens out of your announcements. So this one, in terms of timeline, I don't want to say too much yet, but definitely before the month of February as well. And hopefully before. We're working really hard on that one. I think there's a lot of value in there. And that's definitely one of the angles in which that we've heard time and time again that this needed improvement. And so we've been working really hard on that as well. So these are all coming up in Q1 of 2025 and some in the last few days of the month of December. Well, that's pretty much it on new features. Does anybody have any questions about those or would like to share any comments?
There is one question in the comments about the automation.
Okay, the trigger will also apply for the evaluation form. Like if to evaluation is X, move to round 2, absolutely. It's actually already in place. So if there's say 2 or more evaluators that the rate is higher than 80%, then take the action to move the application to the next round. So yes, absolutely. Any other questions from anyone in the team? Okay.
There is
Well,
another one in the chat.
Yeah, it's actually live in production right now. We're just waiting for the marketplace to confirm of Zoom. So that should be they said maximum 3 days, which was yesterday. So probably next week should be fine unless there's any issue that they raise. So sometime next week we should have the Zoom integration be released for everyone. Pleasure. Okay, well, I guess that's it for now. We will be sharing the recording. I'm sure you might have some questions as you start setting things up in terms of custom fields. So don't hesitate to reach out to us. Obviously, there's a chat, which is the fastest way to get an answer for quick answers, but we remain available for a call. And looking at more in-depth how it applies to your specific cases. So don't hesitate for that as well. We are 100% there to help you maximize the use case of that functionality. So don't hesitate. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.